It was a deja vu moment where the air got thick around me, and that was my introduction to the real meaning of the playing cards.
The regular deck of 52 playing cards that we play gin rummy and bridge with are actually an ancient language of life that was hidden in a game. It predates the Bible. It's from Mesopotamian times. They are sacred geometric patterns.
Some more advanced race of beings than we are at this point in our evolution must have in some way contributed to us having this information.
We all have a life path of 13 plus cards to play based on our date of birth.
There has to be a vibrational imprint. The day we pop out into this space-time matrix, there has to be. It's all a vibrational resonance. And the day you pop out means you have a vibrational imprint that's yours. That must be what it means, that we're living in a vibrational reality.
These are an empowerment tool, and you can utilize them every single day as to how are you playing your game in your life? How are you playing the energy pattern out? Are you playing it on the high side? Are you playing it on the low side? And have it be a continuous guidance for one's journey.
Welcome back to the Sagefull Living Podcast. Today I'm joined by Alexander Dunlop and Viki, Scudiery. They are sacred strategy guides and founders of the Source Cards, a system based on the 52 card deck that uses your birth chart to reveal patterns, relationships, and life themes. Their work blends structure, symbolism, and personal growth in a unique way, helping people understand themselves and their relationships with more clarity. They offer the map, the tools, and the guidance to master the only game that really matters, the game of life. So I'm so excited to explore your work, where this came from, and also go in a little bit about your transformational stories that led to this. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having us, Susan. That was so beautiful. Beautiful intro.
I love the sound,
yes,
the harmonics, and we're going to talk about what that means for you when we get into your cards to play.
Oh, amazing. I love this. Yeah, because sound definitely has a place in my life, so I'm excited to dig in. So how did you guys first discover this system?
It was the result of a long spiritual quest that I was on, and it really was a quest. I didn't know it at the time, but in hindsight, 2020 vision, we have hindsight, that's what it was. It started when I was 17. I grew up nominally, agnostically Roman Catholic, went to Roman Catholic schools, suffered underneath that religious rigmarole. When I was 17, my Catholic high school offered a retreat to get out of school for 3 days. During the school week, the retreat center was on the beach in Miami. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. So it was 3 days to get out of school and hang out with my friends. Sounded good to me. On the last night, a priest came to talk to us about walls around our hearts. It was a very moving talk. Everybody was in tears, even the burly football players. It was very moving. I wanted to go talk to him afterwards. It was the first time I've ever actually wanted to talk to a priest. And I was a product of divorced parents. My mother took my sister and I when I was 8 and my sister was 5 and a half, from London to Fort Lauderdale. And that was a big fish out of water transition life experience for me. I don't know that I ever really recovered from the emotional trauma of being pulled out of my life in London and transplanted to Fort Lauderdale. And then the emotional trauma of the divorce, which was never talked about or rectified in any way emotionally. Just don't talk about those things in those days. So anyway, I had a lot of emotional upset brewing, but it was always in the background, and I didn't really know what to do with it or how to deal with it. I just knew that I hated the fact I was so darn sensitive, and I would cry on the playground, which is not a good look among the other boys. And so I went to talk to this priest who had talked about walls around our hearts. I don't remember what I said to him at this point in the story. What I do remember is that when I was done talking to him, And this was like what you would call, air quotes, face-to-face confession in the Catholic tradition, where I was sitting across from him on a folding chair in a cafeteria of a retreat center, linoleum floor, fluorescent lights overhead, that kind of beautiful rustic setting. And I poured my heart out to him, and he got up to pray for me, the traditional Catholic prayer that I'd heard umpteen times in my youth. As he did, he put his fingertips on my forehead. And the moment that he did, something went whoosh right through my body in a split-second flash of electricity, water, all at once, unmistakably from head to toe. It left me in floods of tears. It left me feeling washed clean. And in that moment, I realized that there was something real behind all the religious mumbo jumbo that had been stuffed into my head. That experience set my journey. And again, long story short, it led me through evangelical Christianity. I became a born-again Christian at one point. I was leading prayer groups and Bible studies. I went back to Roman Catholic seminary thinking I might want to be a priest. Meanwhile, I had done really well as a student. I was a straight A student. I was valedictorian of my high school, and I got into Harvard, and I studied philosophy at Harvard, looking for answers in the great thinkers there. After Catholic seminary, I came to work on Wall Street in New York City. That's how I ended up in New York. And while here, I decided I wanted to experiment with drugs, recreational drugs. I started partying, going to raves, trying every recreational drug I could find, getting into the shadow side of me, of the good Catholic straight A student boy that I had been, to unravel all of that. .com bubble burst. I got laid off from my corporate job. I was now a director of marketing. I had had a few different corporate jobs. I was a director of marketing for a software company at this point. I got laid off. I took my savings and my severance. I went to India. I bought a one-way ticket. Cliched thing to do. Even more cliched, I was chasing a girl. Didn't work out with her in India, just as it hadn't worked out in New York. But what it did is it got me to India, and I went to the Osho Center in Pune and was meditating there 8 hours a day. I took initiation as a Swami. I had a powerful awakening experience there. I'm meditating all day, which we can talk about if you want. But when I decided I was done with India, I needed to come back, I couldn't imagine going back to the corporate world. I had an awakening, and I didn't want to go back into the same corporate world. I floated. I was homeless. There I was, 30 years old, Harvard graduate. I was homeless. It was a very depressing situation. I signed up for a 5-day juice cleanse because I knew I needed to do something. My body was in physical turmoil. I had terrible psoriasis, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, terrible. I didn't know what to do. I signed up for a 5-day juice cleanse. On that juice cleanse, I set my intention to meet the mother of my children. I did. She's the mother of my children. Be very careful about what you intend, because you will only get exactly what you intend for. So I got the mother of my children, and I have 2 beautiful children. Viki is my second wife from my first marriage. She became my first holistic health coach, though, this woman. And I started doing a lot of cleansing and clearing out my body. I was doing ayahuasca ceremonies. I became raw vegan for a while, studied every esoteric system. And now we come to the crux of this, hopefully not too long tale that I'm telling. The point of it being that I tried everything, and I looked everywhere: India, seminary, ayahuasca, every psychedelic drug, every esoteric system. I studied palm reading, Mayan astrology, you name it, I studied it. And then found out I was getting divorced. Divorce papers were on the table. And it was, again, very emotionally difficult for me. Called up a friend of mine, said, hey, I want to get out, clear my head, go to a party. And he said, yeah, I know about a party in Brooklyn. So we went to this loft party in Brooklyn. I walk in, I see an old friend who I knew from Burning Man. So I used to go to Burning Man. And keep in mind what's going on in my life. I just found out I'm going through a divorce. And it was emotionally traumatic for me. I walk in and he says, hey, what's your birthday? August 30th. Why? And he does a little like, he's like, oh, your birth card is the 9 of hearts. And that means in this lifetime, you're going to go through tragic endings of the heart. You're going to have to learn how to let go and move on. It was a deja vu moment with the air got thick around me, and that was my introduction to
Wow.
the real meaning of the playing cards. And there's very little known about it then. There's more now. I studied what I could. I studied from a guy named Robert Camp. I read his books, but I quickly realized there was much more to the story. And then I started meditating on the meanings, and I started to get more information about them, about how they came out of the flower of life and the tree of life, and how it's sacred geometry, and how the deck of cards was once known as the book of life. And I wrote my own book about it. And then fast forward, we started working together in 2022 officially and launched the Source Cards website together. And through it all, I like to tell this joke, which I'll tell you, which is that I searched for the meaning of life everywhere, and I found the meaning of life at a party in Brooklyn.
I love that. And how significant, to what was going on in your life. He could have said anything, but he didn't. He said
exactly.
He said exactly what was going on in your life. And that is the magic of modalities like this. So can you explain to us now in simple terms the process? So someone who has no idea what this is and they're listening, what is the process? And we can maybe do a little introduction about that and maybe go into the mini reading on my birthday so we can give that example. But how do you explain this in a quick little elevator pitch to people when you tell them you do this?
The regular deck of 52 playing cards that we play gin rummy and bridge with are actually an ancient language of life that was hidden in a game. It predates the Bible. It's from Mesopotamian times. They are sacred geometric patterns. We all have a life path of 13 plus cards to play based on our date of birth. It's all based on math. So there are 52 cards in the deck and 52 weeks in the year. There are 4 suits and there are 4 seasons. There are 13 cards in a suit and 13 weeks in a season. When you add up the face value of all the cards, so the ace equals 1, 2 equals 2, all the way up to jack equals 11, queen equals 12, king equals 13. When you add all 52 of them together, you get 364. The Joker is the 5th element in a 4-part system, the 4 parts being hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades. So his numeric value is 5/4, which equals 1 1/4. When you put him into the deck, you get 365 1/4, which is an exact model of the Earth rotating around the sun.
Wow. That's fascinating. That's fascinating that people figured that part out about the rotation around the sun.
It is very interesting. And to me, it means that some more advanced race of beings than we are at this point in our evolution must have in some way contributed to us having this information. When you trace the origin story of these cards all the way back to the Sumerian myths in Mesopotamia, they refer to tablets of destiny, but they don't claim credit for creating them. They say they were given to them by their gods. Who is it that figured out how to conceptually, symbolically render the Earth's rotation around the sun, our solar year? It wasn't us. We didn't have that information. So I feel like there is an extraterrestrial connection of some sort, that there, beings that were assisting us to figure out how to live life on Earth. And then the information was lost, suppressed, persecuted. The Roman Catholic Church, in its infinite wisdom, called this deck of cards the Devil's Bible, or the Devil's Picture Book. That's how it was known in medieval times. And that propaganda was all too successful. Even today, people are still a bit leery, like, oh, the playing cards, what do you mean? So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with essentially the resurrection of ancient knowledge that was hidden in plain sight.
I believe that. So you're saying that even like playing cards date back that far? Like, when did they become playing cards that we play games on them and gamble and things like that? Like, obviously they've been around longer than that. I'm trying to feel like they were, what you're saying, they're coming from ancient times. So at some point someone turned them into a game and took away the technology.
I believe so. Could easily be that it was represented culturally as a game as a way to hide it so that the people practicing it weren't burnt at the stake. No, Your Holiness, we're just playing a card game.
Yeah.
Don't pay no attention.
Right.
But as I mentioned very briefly, and we can go into this more if you want, we know these symbols are ancient because the patterns come out of the tree of life, which comes out of the flower of life. And the flower of life is the oldest known spiritual symbol we have. It's cross-cultural in every culture around the world. You can see a representation of the flower of life. The patterns inside the face of the card, what we call the pips, those patterns all come out of the flower of life arrangement in the tree of life. So that's how we know it's ancient.
You mean the actual images of like the kings and the jacks?
No, those are medieval icons.
Okay.
I'm talking about, for example, let's talk about your birth card,
Yep.
the 8 of diamonds. If you were to overlay that on top of the tree of life, like the familiar Kabbalistic tree of life, although that tree of life is older than Kabbalah, it's older than Jewish mysticism. If you overlay that symbol, you'll see that it overlays with the sphero on the tree of life. And each pattern does that in its own way. And the king, queen, jack are actually the 13, 12, and 11. And those 13, 12, and 11 patterns also overlay. The king, queen, jack are simply medieval icons that were used to cover up the real meaning, to hide the meaning. So that's the king of spades. And you can see the 13th sphero there. If you were to overlay it,
Yeah.
it lines up perfectly.
I totally see it now. Like it's in plain sight. I would have never thought of it before, and I totally see it.
We took the numbers off the cards so that you can really see the patterning. And the patternings are so perfect in and of themselves. They show you actually how to play the cards well. So it's an energy pattern that exudes from that pip patterning. The pips are like, for example, on the 8 of diamonds, one of those diamonds is called a pip. And then the pattern is the whole, all 8 of diamonds together. It's showing you how to play that well. The patterning is.
Is this something where I would come to you guys once a year to do a check-in of what's coming up for the next year? Or do things change every month like they do astrologically? Or is this more of like an overall life?
As I mentioned, a life path of cards, that's for our entire life. Those are cards we're playing for our whole life. So for example, your 8 of diamonds being your birth card, you're playing that as your birth card for your entire life. And to just add to that, you know, it is a journey to play the cards well. Some people will take this as novelty, like they'll come for a reading and be like, that's so cool. It's just like me. But really, these are an empowerment tool, and you can utilize them every single day as to how are you playing your game in your life? How are you playing the energy pattern out? Are you playing it on the high side? Are you playing it on the low side? And have it be a continuous guidance for one's journey to live one's best life. The rest of your question, we do have like personal daily cards every day, and 52-day planetary cards and yearly cards. So there are cards that are in play all the time that are changing, right? So then that's a whole another category of it, you know?
Yeah, it's a very simple system. It's elegantly simple, and yet it gets complex quickly because you have a life path of 13 cards. You have yearly path of 13 cards. And the earth has its own cards. So we're always, as human beings, intersecting with the energy grid of the earth as well. So you have your personal cards and the earth cards. The earth card today, as we're recording this, is the Jack of Diamonds. And so that's similar as knowing the astrology of the day, knowing where the planets are that day. What's the frequency of the earth? What vibration is the earth emitting that day? And it's symbolized by a card. And then every week is a card, 52 cards, 52 weeks. So every week we're passing through an energy frequency symbolized by a card. And then every month is symbolized by a card, similar to the zodiac. You have the 12 court cards, like the 12 signs of the zodiac. So you have a monthly card, like your zodiac. And then within those cycles, you have your personal cards, as Viki mentioned, your daily card, your 52-day card. So you really can, and we do, play along every day in the game of life. And we have an online community where that's what we do. We play along every day.
And as you're saying this, I can see from that day to day, my card is going to relate to this card differently for today than what your card is going to relate to today's card. So I see what you're talking about. It can get more complex. It can be simple. This is your life. But if you want to get into that day to day, then it's analyzing also you to that day, you to that week, you to that month. So, wow,
That is a
fascinating.
fabulous insight.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm amazed, and it's wonderful that you got that right
Mm-hmm.
away. Because yes, I'm born to play the nine of hearts based on math. Vicky's born to play the five of diamonds based on math. You're born to play the eight of diamonds based on the numbers of your date of birth.
Yeah.
And the three of us will interact with today's Jack of Diamonds energy very differently. So even though it's just a Jack of Diamonds, the way we interact with it is different depending on our birth card.
Tell me about the eight of diamonds. What does that mean overall? Like, what does that tell me about myself or my life?
So the 8 is the infinity symbol. You can see the 8. For those, so is everyone seeing this, seeing us, or just listening? Some
If
people.
they're watching on YouTube, they're seeing it. If they're watching on Spotify,
Okay.
Spotify might have video now too, but it's on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube is video live.
Okay, so if you're only listening, pull out the deck of cards you have at home if you have it, and you can pull out the 8 of diamonds so you can see what we're talking about. You can see the pip patterning. You'll see with this 8 of diamonds that there is the infinity symbol in the empty space.
Yep.
Infinite energy, infinite power. Diamonds represent anything you can perceive with your 5 senses, physicality of life, and what truly matters to you. So infinite power in what truly matters to you, what you value most in your life, bringing that into the world, harmonizing what really matters to you.
No, and the 8 symbol is a symbol of good luck and good fortune in many cultures. It's also the symbol of healing and well-being. It's the 2 snakes woven around the caduceus. So that's your purpose, is to bring harmony and well-being and abundance, which are actually synonymous. We tend to separate that out in our contemporary way of understanding abundance, but abundance is synonymous with harmony. And that's what you bring. And it was fascinating that you were ringing a figure 8 shaped musical toning symbol to start with. It's like a figure 8 symbol.
That is. Oh, I didn't even realize that. Yeah. That's great.
It really is. Yeah, it's an hourglass, but it's
I love that.
And I have the infinity tattooed on my arm. And it's one of
Is
my.
that it? Oh yeah, you do.
Wow.
When I opened my home as a spiritual home and a healing home for healers, so people can stay here. We'll do sacred homestays. And someone who I didn't see all the time, someone told him, and he called and he said, I have this conscious German tattoo artist. Can I pay for her to come stay at your house for a week? And I was like, sure. So she shows up, and of course we're both Pisces, so we had this total bond. And one day in meditation, I envisioned the infinity with the feather and sent her like my little sketch, and she was like, okay. And I thought, oh my God, is she going to even draw it, or is she just going to show up? And she came with a sketch, and it was of all my tattoos. We did it in my healing room. I felt like a feather the whole time. It felt like the needle was a feather. Then she gifted me Umaloom on my ankle, and that was a hand poke, and that was very painful. But yeah, so wow. the infinity, I'm not surprised by that. I think that's so beautiful and amazing, and not even realizing it, how I've brought it into my life and what it's meant to me, is to have that as a part of me right here. I love
that. It's an example to me, and I see this often when people are in alignment with themselves, in tune with themselves. They instinctively start playing their cards right, even if they don't yet know their cards to play. That you were drawn to the infinity symbol, you're drawn to a musical toning instrument that looks like a rudimentary figure 8, that you would be drawn to these things in your life when you're in tune, when you're following your own automatic instinctive guidance.
Yeah.
See that with people.
Yeah. That's like when Alexander and I first met, my email address was something like Viki@555 something, because I'm playing a 5 and I had no idea,
the things that we bring. And then it's so beautiful because as we get more aware, more conscious, we notice more of the symbolism happening in our life. The more family constellation work I live and I see in a systemic eye, it's seeing the system, seeing how things are running, seeing the symbols that are showing up. So I love this. And then I would think if I did a reading, I would be...
The synchronicities and...
Yeah, I think everything you guys would say for my cards, I would be like, oh my gosh, yes. So What do you see in similar patterns for people? What is happening out there with people? What are the similar patterns you're finding in clients?
Most of the time it's like people have absolutely no idea what cards they're playing, and then they're bumping up against walls because they're trying to play somebody else's cards. And they don't know they're doing this. They're not like, actually, they don't know about the cards, right? So they'll be like trying to follow the way someone else does something, right? A guru, a boss, a parent, I'm going to try, they're successful. So I'm going to do it that way. But then they just keep bumping up against a wall because they're not honing in and activating the energy patterns that they've dealt themselves by choosing their birthday. That's how I see it. That they're, not playing their cards. They're playing other people's cards. They just continue a pattern or a loop of bumping up against blocks and walls. And as soon as people start to know their cards to play, it's like this, like a relaxation and an aha moment of like, no wonder why my life has been this way. Or, that these patterns have been happening to me.
It creates really an awareness and the aha moments of what's happening. And then it's for them to make those changes, right? And to see where they need to shift and start living a little differently.
Well, it is. And often, not always, but often the clarity of knowing their cards to play is enough for people. Simply knowing that, oh, that's my patterning. And that's what people have said. And this is what differentiates our work from other coaching work, is we don't give people a list of to-dos and here's a framework and here's your 3-step action plan. It's you're born to play an 8 of diamonds, for example. And the way you play your life well is you stay in flow. You're always wanting to be in this, symbolized by an 8, you always want to be in flow. If you're ever not in flow, if you're ever forcing or controlling or constricting, then your life isn't going to go well. You work against yourself. You can be a bully to yourself most of all. You can try to force things. But if you do that, it's not going to work well. Your life is going to, as Viki said, bump up against obstacles repeatedly. Now, if you didn't know your cards to play, you might double down and just try harder. And I'm going to force my way and make it happen. Or even if you don't know your cards, you might, through a trusted advisor or through your own inner searching or through your own attunement, you might recognize, you know what? For everything to work out for me, I need to not push and I need to surrender into the flow. So you might find that on your own. But that's what we do for people, is we show them these are your cards to play. And you have an 8 of diamonds, and then you have a whole hand of cards, whole set of 13 cards. Here's how you play them well. And it's a matter of awareness, having awareness of what works. And in your case, what works is always being in flow. It's like the Taoist principle of the unforced force, the doing, not doing, where everything is done and nothing is left undone and no force was used. That's playing the 8 of diamonds well. So it becomes an awareness, a mindset, and you simply bring that awareness and mindset into everything that you do. I have a high-ticket coaching program. I coach CEOs, some professional athletes, some celebrities. And then it's applying that information tactically into your day-to-day life. I have a decision to make. I have a team meeting tomorrow. I have a board presentation, and I have to do this, this, and this. How do I do that with flow? And where am I forcing it? So we can get very tactical in the instructions and the guidance, but it's always about awareness and being aware of our patterning and then starting to really trust it, that it actually works to focus on playing our cards right. That when we consciously live by that and consciously orient ourselves that way, everything does line up. Everything does work out. And that's the baby steps of faith, to practice it and put it into action. And then notice, oh yeah, it's working. When I'm in flow, everything flows for me. If I'm forcing, it doesn't work out. And again, you can find that on your own, like, as you have done with the infinity symbol on your arm and being in your own flow. For me, I needed this. I am born to play the 9 of hearts. I did not know how to trust my feeling. Hearts is feelings. I didn't know how to do it. I came from a military upbringing, strict English schooling, before I came to America. So I was not in touch with my heart at all. I needed this guidance in order to give myself permission to be more heart based.
Actually, no, it adds more value for me because just hearing that, right now I'm in the spot of I should be speaking. It should be more of just me, but don't have it in me or feel that in me yet. So it's like I'm pushing against myself of I should be speaking more solo. But yet when I let that go and stay in the lane of what is flow, I know when the time is right, it'll happen. And so you telling me that, it gives me that yes, Susan, get back to that, be in the flow. And when the time is right, it will happen. Stop stressing yourself out and thinking you need to be doing this right now. You need to be doing exactly what you're doing that keeps you in this flow. So I needed to hear that because I have been pushing against myself. Like you said, I mean, I'm my own worst critic. I'm my enemy. I'm the one that pushing because I always felt I never had anyone else to push me. I had people support me, but there was no mentor, no push. And so I feel that's probably why I've always been hard on myself. But I feel much that my best when I am in flow, and then more things come when I let it just be like that. I have always said my biggest value is freedom, and flow is freedom. So, Viki, I know you have a transformation story as well of things that you've been through that led you here. I love what I love bringing on, and I want to do more of this as well, is transformation stories, because no one just all of a sudden one day this happens. Maybe a few people, a modality comes in, but mostly we've been through things. We've all had these life experiences that are bringing us to our greatness, to step into where we're supposed to be. And then I want to get into the two of you doing this as a couple, because I'm so happy to show that example, because I feel a lot of my friends, that's what we're searching for. Not only are we searching for a partner to share our life with, but a partner that we can share soulful work with.
Beautiful. Thank you, Susan. In my late 20s, I didn't get my period for 6 years.
Wow.
And I went to a bunch of doctors and nobody could figure out what was going on with me. And then I went to see this healer that my mom found me. This healer was working with a friend of hers on this baby that had a very serious condition. And she's like, why don't you try this healer? I had one session with her. It was really wonderful. It was hands-on, and she was just naturally gifted. She never did any schooling or anything. And she did the healing on me. And then within 1 to 3 days, I got my period. So this just catapulted me into wanting to learn everything I possibly could about healing, growth, myself, my own wounding, my shadow side, God, what is God? And that was it. I wanted to experience and experiment with, I went to see so many healers, even just to learn from the healer, what's the experience of going through this healing session from this person who does a very specific kind of healing. And then I would try a different kind of healing with someone else. And then I started to study different modalities. I studied the Melchizedek method. I studied with shamans. I studied theta healing. I went to the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, which is a 4-year program. And so really just diving in everything I could possibly learn, growing, evolving. Then I met Alexander 13 years ago at a cafe. He walked in and he comes, stands next to me. He's fidgeting with his umbrella and suddenly starts chatting with me. He asks me my date of birth and proceeds to tell me all about myself. Now, the good things and the not so good things. So in 20 minutes, he just lays it all on the table, all these things about me. And it was really accurate. I mean, we joke now that I had just spent 20 years of my life learning all these things about myself. And then in 20 minutes, he pretty much laid it on the table, So it's profound and it's extraordinarily accurate, this template of the cards. That really, of course, sparked me. I was like, I'm playing the 5 of diamonds as my birth card. And I really like out of the box things. It's out of the box. 5 is about being out of the box and about change. bringing a fresh new perspective of something. And then diamonds, again, are about what you value most in your life. And at that point, I'm loving, anything spiritual, esoteric, you name it. I'm just loving on it. I want to learn as much as I possibly can. But then what really got me was when I started to look up everybody in my life. So looking up my family members, friends, past lovers, that sealed the deal. I mean, I'm even getting the chills now which is like a confirmation for me when I get the chills of something that's really accurate. It blew my mind. It was healing for me to look up other people's cards to play. It explains so much about dynamics of relationships and why things were the way they were with specific people. I have one really funny story about how two people from my past, one was a friend and one was a past romantic relationship. And they both had the same birthday. And I really was challenged in those relationships. Like, it was very just not easy. There was not flow, a lot of tension, a lot of butting heads with these people. And I always looked at it kind of like, God, just like, oh, so glad to be, done with that tension kind of thing. And I looked up the birthday because they both have the same birthday. And it turns out that the birth card that they're both playing is in my life path as what's called the Saturn card, which is all about life lessons and challenges. So it was like, oh my gosh, these two people that I was had so much challenge with are actually my teachers. I can learn so much from them, right? They're playing out the energy pattern, which is the Two of Clubs. Two of Clubs is about teamwork, partnership, connection, communication, right? Being good at communicating. I always had this thing where I never raised my hand. I never wanted to speak up. I just sort of sit and listen, So that has been a big challenge for me my whole life. The fact I'm even doing this podcast is pretty amazing, and like telling my story and talking to you, is like a pretty big deal, like that I've overcome challenges in my life. To know that both of those people are playing Two of Clubs, very challenging energy for me. They're playing it, and then that's the dynamic I'm having with them. It really teaches me a lot. Like, how can I learn from them and be more open and see them as teachers for me, seeing myself more deeply. So those are the things that really got me going. Absolutely love dynamics of relationships, and knowing other people's cards to play can be so tremendously helpful, because you can see what their pattern is compared to what you're playing, which could be so different in how someone shows up. So there's a big thing it's big teaching around acceptance and judgment, like just allowing judgment to dissolve, and really accepting oneself and accepting other people in knowing cards to play.
Yeah, it's like you can understand the dynamics of your relationships better, or even understand who each person is. So is there a book that we can all buy and have on our coffee table to look up, okay, this person's birthday? Yes, there is.
Is the coffee table book, Play Your Cards Right, A Sacred Guide to Life on Earth, by this guy over here, Alexander Dunlop. You can find it on the website, thesourcecards.com. It's on Amazon. And yes, you can look up your entire life path of cards, and then you can start to really explore all the different aspects of your human template, because it will show not just the birth card and the Saturn card I mentioned, but lots of other things. We have a shadow card, the Pluto card, which is our shadow, our unconscious hidden fears. We have a Mercury card, how we think and communicate. We have a Jupiter card. That's, the one to look at, like, how can you experience more expansion, abundance, make more money? Play that card well, yeah.
I'm going to ask you guys if you would sign a copy and send it to me, because when I have my guests on, I have all the books on my coffee table, and the books get picked up by people who come to the house. Family constellations, they've been used. Like, a book has been used. Someone's in the middle of a constellation and they go over and pick up a book and they bring it into the field. So I love that, bringing parts of what I'm doing in my life to that. So beautiful. And I'll make sure that not just in the show notes is the website, but I'm going to make sure there's a link specifically to the book, because I think this
Fantastic.
is a beautiful thing that everyone should have around. It's beyond astrology. To me, this sounds really kind of beyond astrology, or maybe it can be understood for people that astrology is too of a woo thing, that this is more of a mathematical, numerical thing with the patterns.
I think so. And again, I appreciate your insight that you're hitting right on something. I'll say another thing that differentiates this knowledge from astrology is that it's simpler. It's easier to use. You don't need the time and place of birth. You just need the numbers of the birthday. And so it's simpler in that sense. And the other way it's different that I really like is that it's visual. You can see the visual patterning. And as Viki mentioned, in the visual patterning, you know how to play your cards right. It's a language. It is a visual language like hieroglyphs. So I'm a visual person. I love the visual simplicity of it. And what a lot of people have said to us over the years is that compared to astrology or human design or gene keys, these are all wonderful systems, and I've studied all of them. But what we hear over and over again is that the source cards are simpler and more elegant.
Beautiful. Do you train people to learn to read this as well? So when Viki was speaking, what came to me, I wanted to share with the audience, is a lot of times happen as we go down, it came to us like a rabbit hole, right? When we have a healing that transforms our life, we want to learn everything. We want to go to every modality. But I think what is beautiful, and I want people to realize, is when you study any of these modalities, it doesn't mean you're going to become a practitioner and you're going to do sessions for people. But the transformation and personal growth that happens from doing a course of learning a modality for yourself is tenfold. Don't ever look at a training that you have to become that facilitator. You're doing it for your own personal journey. Even yoga teacher training, most people I know didn't become yoga teachers, but they grew from the work that they did.
Mm-hmm.
So, get out there, learn modalities, dig deep into things for your own personal growth. Don't look at it as, oh, I'm doing this because I need to become this. So back to that, do you guys train people?
Oh, that's so great. I love.
We do, and you're inspiring us to do it a little bit more now.
Yeah, it's like all the learnings. And when I hear people, like when Viki was saying that, I'm like, that's exactly how all my friends are, is we learned so much stuff. But I just wanted to point out to people, it doesn't mean that you're going to become that practitioner. It's all for personal growth. And maybe that can inspire people that you're not spending all your money having someone else trying to heal you. You are learning the tools to heal yourself.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh, I just love that you're saying this. I absolutely love it. Thank you for that wisdom. It's really beautiful. I mean, when I went to the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, which is a 4-year program, it's intense. You go 5 times a year. It was in Miami at the time. And I had, well, I don't know, 55 people were in the class by the time we graduated. A lot of people drop out because of the intensity of it. But I would say a handful of people are healers, a handful. And the rest are all just, they went for the growth. 4 years of like digging deep, So it is so true. It's so true. And if you learn this system of knowledge of the cards, it's like, wow, it's a profound tool for one's life.
For your whole life.
Like every day I'm learning, every day I'm like, wow, did you see this? Did you notice that? It's a lot of fun as well.
And that's the way life should be. And like I said, my family constellations facilitator, Michelle, she's 83 years old, and every day she has revelations. Every day she sees things that she didn't know or didn't see. So it's like, yes, we got to continue. We never stop growing. Bringing these things into our life, it helps with that. Can you use this like tarot? Would I pick a card for like, how I take a tarot deck and an oracle deck and I just pick a card for I'm thinking about that day? Can you do it that way? Or is it really that you want to stick to the card that's for that day?
You can absolutely use it like that. We actually have our own deck of cards, and we're in the process of writing the book to go with it right now. And so you can use it the same way. You could ask a question, shuffle them, pick a card, and then you say you pick the 3 of diamonds, and then like receive the guidance from what that energy pattern means, to apply to your question to get your answer. So definitely.
I love it. All right. Like I said, I love seeing couples working together. So I don't know how you guys want to speak to that, of how it works or what decision you made, or I don't know. I just think it's a really beautiful example to show people, the success and because some people, they can't work with their spouse, but I know
Well,
there's
it's in the cards
women
that
that
way.
we want this. We want a partner that we can create a whole life with and do things like this together in this sacred work.
There's a lot to say. This might be a whole other podcast. It's in the cards that Viki and I can work together because of the relationship dynamics we have, the way our cards are placed next to each other. Behind us, for those who are watching visually, we have the tree of life, the fruit of the tree of life, which are these cards laid out. And when you find your birth card, you then count right to left, as in Hebrew, to read your life path. And Viki's Five of Diamonds is the Venus card in my life path of the Nine of Hearts. So we have that Venus connection. We also have a Mercury and a Moon connection, which means we have a very intimate connection, which means for the most part, we like each other. We can be in the same room all day and not tear each other's hair out. So we can work together. We work out of the living room together, and our podcast is, our studio's in our living room. If you don't have that kind of connection, then you probably cannot work together. Doesn't mean you can't be together. But the cards do show relationship dynamics. And as Viki mentioned earlier, that was the thing that really got her excited about these cards. And interestingly, in astrology, we're supposedly a terrible match. Terrible, the worst. But in the cards, we're a perfect match. And it's simpler and easier to figure out the matchmaking using the cards. However, and this is a big however, we have done the work, because even if you're a perfect match, you can still be scarred from childhood, have your unconscious traumas and your unknown shadow side that you're not willing to look at. The cards do show you your shadow side. They also show you your childhood patterns and traumas. I had one psychologist tell me that one reading with me was like 3 years of psychotherapy, because you can see in one reading exactly what the childhood traumas and patterns are. And again, you can see them. It doesn't mean you might heal them in one session, but you can see them. And what we have done in our relationship is we've learned nonviolent communication, which is a whole other strategy. It's a whole other modality that we've brought in to assist us in our marriage and our work together. And we do a lot of shadow work as well. And we're continually learning and growing in our dynamic. And I would say, from my perspective, you tell me your perspective, but I would say from my perspective, we're both devoted to and committed to our personal growth, which means that we're both continually willing to listen and learn and hear from the other person and hear the other perspective, maybe not always right in the moment, but we are willing to hear and grow and listen, and that's the key.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. I hope that is well received by the audience, that it's about doing the work and doing it together, right? So you can grow together, but it's about your own personal journeys that blend together, right? So I'm sure you do your own practices and your own work, and then you do the stuff that you do together. But it is all about that growth, and about the work, continuing to work on yourself and showing up for you and showing up for your partner.
Absolutely. And the cards really can show us those things that we need to work on in ourselves and then in relationship with each other. So it really supports so much in the dynamics, in helping us. Tremendously. In the beginning, actually, we're really a perfect match in the cards, but we really kept missing each other in the beginning when we met. And we finally realized, we have different love languages. And that's also in the cards. So Alexander's playing a heart and a club as his birth and personality. I'm playing a diamond and a spade. He has two of the suits. I have the other two of the suits, and those suits represent different love languages. So they were different for each of us. And finally, when we started to understand that, wait, hey, this is my love language, then we can come together and talk about that. And how do we, honor each other in our love languages?
How has the work changed you personally? It sounds like you've been able to bring the work into your relationship by learning more about each other through the cards. Just like you just explained about the love languages.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you guys work with more couples?
And as parents too.
As a parents too.
Yep. We have 2 teenagers, and as parents, it's an invaluable tool to know our children's cards to play.
I can't wait to read Mia's. Wow. Yeah, that'll be really fascinating for me, right, with my daughter, and to see her cards.
Absolutely. And you can do the free lookup we created on our website, thesourcecards.com. It's our mission and vocation to get this information out to everyone in the world. So we created a free lookup on thesourcecards.com. You can look up the first 2 cards in your life path. These are the 2 most important cards in your life path. And you can look those up for free on our website, thesourcecards.com.
Amazing. And I was going to ask, if someone feels stuck right now, where should they begin? I think that's a great place for them to begin. Mm-hmm. Go to the website and look up your first 2 life path cards. And that's going to get you started with understanding this work.
Understanding the patterns and starting to just accepting the patterns, having the awareness of what the patterns are, and then starting to explore, hey, where do I do this on the high side? Where do I play it on the low side?
Amazing. Now, is there anything we haven't covered that you guys want to make sure that we get in?
Well, again, relationships can be a whole other podcast. Parenting can be a whole other episode. It's a very deep topic. We're giving the overview. We're scratching the surface. There's a lot to say about the sacred geometry of it, the origins of it, how we use it in our life, and also how I use it with my corporate clients. There's a lot of different avenues to explore, but I feel like we hit the high notes today. Is there anything from an overview perspective that you'd like to know?
How do you use this for your corporate clients? Because I know that you were, a high-level executive yourself. So I love when people can then take their skills now into the corporate, because I'm not expecting every corporate professional and CEO to become a healer, but I want them to be able to access these things. So please, how do you use this work with your high-level executives?
There are many examples I could give. I'm going to give the one that's top of mind right now and say it this way, that in any corporate setting, you're still dealing with people. You're still leading a team and you're interacting with clients. It's all about interpersonal dynamics. It's all about your EQ, your emotional intelligence. One of the many things that I help my corporate clients with is to know what makes them tick. This is my own way. This is my strategy. And then we can even look up their colleagues, because all we need is their birthday. And everybody knows everybody's birthday. And like, oh, your boss is actually playing this card, and oh, your director of marketing is this, and this other person is this, and no wonder they're doing that, and that person is doing this. It's a matter of awareness. Like, oh, no wonder. Like, oh, and then like the burden lifts and the stress goes away. There's a lot of stress and anxiety for leaders, a lot of stress and anxiety. And as the cliche goes, it's lonely at the top. They don't necessarily have anyone to talk to about it. They can't talk to someone and say, I'm feeling stressed about my interaction with so-and-so, because they don't want to project any weakness. And who are they going to talk to it about? Because they're the boss, or they're the leader, they're the owner. So they don't have a way to process that anxiety or that stress about their interpersonal dynamics of how they work with people and how they lead people. So I work with them to give them awareness. This is what makes you tick. That's what makes them tick. And here's how you best approach them.
It's astrology, it's psychology, it's everything. And it's so unbelievable of how many things out there are just related to the day you were born.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Not random. And when you really dig into this stuff, people should be fascinated by what they find out about the lives they've already lived.
Well, that you hit the nail on the head again. It really says something about the nature of our reality, the matrix that we're in, the imprint. There has to be a vibrational imprint. The day we pop out into this space-time matrix, there has to be, because it's all a vibrational resonance. And the day you pop out means you have a vibrational imprint that's yours, and I have a different one. But that must be what it means, that we're living in a vibrational reality.
Thank you guys. This was really beautiful, really informative. I really hope that it resonates with the audience and that they understand there are so many tools out there to help them live healthier, happier, more conscious, more aligned in their truth, in their relationships, and in their existence. So thank you guys for the work that you do. Thank you for bringing it to the world. Thank you for creating it. I can't wait to start digging in a little bit more myself, my family members, and the people around me through the cards.
Well, thank you so much, Susan, for having us. It's been really, really beautiful.